Hello.
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 So welcome to the monthly webinar. Let's see if some more people are going to join. I think so. So you've all done your homework. You've been reading our LCA and studied our website. Very good. So what we mostly do is we ask people to present themselves in 60 seconds, what you do and why you're here, and then we try to, as good as we can, answer your questions one by one and see if we can help each other. So I would express the idea of exchanging your email addresses so you can maybe interact with between you. This is Lea. My name is Bert. I'm the founder of Budgets, and Lea is the CSR manager. And she's going to help me answer all your difficult questions. So let's start. Maybe Verena, you can tell me more about yourself, just a short introduction and then to the next one.
Hello, I'm Verena. I'm from Austria and I'm studying digital business in Linz in Upper Austria. I'm doing my master thesis at the moment about circular fashion models, and I'm focusing on the value proposition and the costs. And I have some questions for you.
Good.
I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you. Next, Gaz, Amir.
Yes, so thanks. My name is Cas Vermeer. First of all, really cool that you're hosting these Q&As on a monthly basis. I think that's a really nice initiative. The reason I'm here today is that I'm a startup founder, or actually I'm an ex-startup founder. I recently sold a first startup together with a colleague Bas, who's also in this call. And right now I'm orienting towards new business ideas in the sustainable fashion world. And that's why we have a few questions on how things are run at MUD to validate some of our assumptions.
Okay, so that must be Bas then, your colleague.
Yeah, that's me. So I think Cas already gave it away. So I'm Bas. Was also one of the ex-colleagues of Cas. I think he told the story. And again, great that you're doing this. I think it's pretty unique as well. I've never seen it before on this sort of intimate basis, so that's really nice. Yeah. So yeah, looking forward towards the other questions, and I'll be happy to ask a few.
Good. Let's go to Isabelle. Nice. Hello.
Yeah, so hi, I'm a student in development studies from Belgium, and I'm currently writing my master dissertation on circular fashion and the impact on social transformation and the political impacts and political policies that are necessary.
We have to go. Sorry, Isabella, we just had a...
There's some construction above us, so we couldn't quite hear all you said.
If it keeps going, you have to tell them to stop it anyhow.
Okay. Or we go outside.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And then we have Uluwatuninu from... Where are you from?
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Tumi. That's the shortest version of my name. Tumi is fine. My name is Tumi. I'm from the University of Leeds, and I'm conducting a research on circularity in fashion SMEs. I'm trying to identify how they can be the backbone for the transition into a fully circular economy. So that's why I'm here today, to help conduct my research or get more details from my research.
Okay, which university are you from, you said?
University of Leeds.
Where is
Leeds.
it? Oh, Leeds. Oh, sorry.
Yes, in the UK.
Okay, so you're going to watch the Commonwealth Games these days? Well, that's in Birmingham.
No, I'm just watching it online.
Okay. Okay. Then we have one more coming in, Dietrich. Good afternoon. Well, if you're ready to connect, we'll continue and you just have to introduce yourself. Let's start with Isabel. No, sorry, with Verena, excuse me. What's your question? What's your burning question, Verena? How can we help you?
My first question would be, what's the benefit for customers when buying denim made of recycled materials? Do you think it's the same quality, or is it worse, or is it better?
We always say it's the same quality, but of course there are some tricks and challenges. Some of the time with the dyeing, you can see a little bit of the the recycled content in it, which for me, I'm a long time in the fashion industry. 10 years or 20 years ago, it would be rejected material. Today, we think it's nice to see that there's some recycled content. And on the quality side, of course, we cannot sell jeans that are of lesser quality that is in the market. That's why we are also limited to the amount of waste that we can use. 40% is the max. When you do not use elastan, if you use elastan, it's 23%, it's more complicated. The benefit, what are the benefits? Great feeling.
Yeah, a big plus is definitely less environmental impact. Yeah, but also you as a customer feel better wearing something that actively contributes to lessening the amount of waste that comes from the fashion industry. So I think just psychologically, it's definitely a benefit. And other than that, I mean, it really depends. For mud jeans, we really pay close attention to having a good quality product. So we always say it has to look good, feel good, both when you wear it, but also when you think about what you're wearing. So yeah, I think that's the short answer to that.
Yeah, and the most important thing is, of course, that we all, I think today, realize that we cannot keep going the way we do. And this is a start of changing your behavior. It's a first easy step. So there's nothing less. You just still buy a beautiful pair of jeans, good quality. Of course, you have to do all the tests, you know, of tearing strength, the wet rubbing, the dry rubbing. All that, of course, has to be done before you can make a product. So yeah. Does that answer your question? I think so.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Okay, let's go to Kaz.
Yeah, thanks. I was curious. I also read in the report that Mud Jeans also offers a repair service for customers. And I think in the report it mentioned that it was in 2020 that about 100 pairs of jeans were then repaired for customers. I was curious, why do you have a repair service? How does that actually work, sort of operational? And is that number steady or rising or falling for 2022 versus 2020?
It's a nightmare because you all have to do it by hand. It comes back to our office. It doesn't get into the normal return logistics, or it does actually, but we ask people to send it directly to our office. So it's a lot of work, first of all. Secondly, it's a lot of back and forth sending goods, which we don't like. So we also advise people to go to their local tailor if it's a minor thing you can do, and we will take the costs, because then you don't have the shipping costs. We do it with a lady here close by who has an atelier with people that have a distance to get a job and get learned about jeans. And if you sell like us close to 100,000 pairs of jeans, of course 100 doesn't matter too much. And it's for our brand values and our brand name. This is what we want to do. We want to consume less. We want to make sure that our product lasts long, and repairing is. But a good anecdote is maybe one of our ladies on the phone here once received a pair of jeans that was, I think, worn at least 10 years intensively, and it looked like it was really worn up to the thread, like we say. So we don't call that a repair, but we call that a restoration, and we don't do restoration projects because that's too much of it. But you know, even there we try to be as good as we can, and I think it's important for our brand name. It's practice what you preach. It's doable for the moment, but and we do it also because some other brands also propose it. So as we call ourselves the first and only circular denim brand in the world, we cannot stay behind. And in the air ladder, I don't know if you've heard of the air ladder, the R ladder.
It's quite high, of course, on the list.
It's one of the steps out of the you know, reduce, repair.
Reduce, reuse, recycle, but obviously you should always reuse before you recycle. Recycling is for us a really big step.
Yeah,
it needs to be done because no jeans can be worn forever, or at least not yet. But obviously reuse is even better. So repair is really, really big part of being circular. And we did also just get the confirmation that we can start on a pilot project.
Amsterdam?
No, in Utrecht with the Mended.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Well,
That's new for me.
It's the one I sent you.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, anyway, we're starting a pilot project also to look in how can we do this even better and differently and on a wider scale maybe. But yeah, being not a huge brand, we obviously have to see how we can make it in a feasible way.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
So for the moment, I skip Bas, but you will get your chance later. Let's go to Isabella directly. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So your company has been established, I believe, in 2012. So that was before circular economy became a focus of the European Union. So I was wondering how this evolution impacted your business, like from before the political focus on circular business to now.
To now. Yeah, of course, there's a change in those 10 years. When we first started to talk about circular economy, nobody even knew the word. And also, I must say, I learned about it 11 or 12 years ago, and I was really, I thought it was really a good idea to start to be circular for every industry, because it's a solution that you can still have an economy and try to make money and try to deliver good products, but not at a devastating speed and at a linear economy where you take, make and waste. We all know that this line it's ending somewhere you run into the wall. So I really like the idea of circular economy, and it has evolved. And when we started, we were picked up immediately by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation as a case project, how do you call it, a case study. So that was helpful because we sort of felt, oh, I'd never heard of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So that was like, oh, this is really existing and we are on the right way. And then in Holland, somebody started the platform Circular Economy. We won a prize then also, so that also helped. And to say now that that the European Union has put it on top of mind, let's say, for us, doesn't change.
I think we're still waiting for some of the effects to really happen on that. I mean, in terms of extended producer responsibility, we've been doing that for a long time, but we do think that this needs to be mandatory.
It still isn't. So we are waiting for legislation that would also push our competitors towards the circular economy. We're still the only ones, which I think is strange. Who are really doing this.
Yeah, and I think also in terms of anti-greenwashing legislation, so looking at the moment, we just don't have the marketing budget to keep up with huge brands, but they can make any claim they want, basically. And once this legislation comes through and you can really differentiate between who is really sustainable and who isn't, and which claim is true and which isn't, I think, hope that will also change the way Margins works and is being recognized.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's go to Tuni. Is the shorter version of your name?
Yes, to me.
Tuni, okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to find out what are the barriers that your company has experienced in the successful implementation of your current business model?
Oh, I don't know where to start. A lot of problems with them. It changes with the time and the age of the company, let's say. So when we started, of course, it's finance. When you start leasing out pairs of jeans and get fractional payments or recurrent payments, you're buying your jeans, you're sending them out, you're delivering to the customer, and then they start little by little paying them back to you. So that's very liquidity intensive. Let's say that's for the first time. Then for the first years, when you start making some turnover, I'm sorry, we have this noise again. When you start making turnover, things get better and the money flow is starting. So you have recurring payments coming in, and it starts all rolling. And if you reach a certain level of turnover, the banks are more cooperative. In the beginning, it's all your own money, your own risk, and nobody wants to help you. And when you grow and you show that you have proof of concept and some years of not losing too much money, banks are starting to look at you and they want to push this also forward. So that's sort of solved, but still money is tight, of course. And now, for instance, today, like Lea said, we have to do with our competitors that are shouting about everything they do well and how green they are and how sustainable they are. And there's just nothing of it, which makes it very complicated for us to
stand out.
Yeah. So different times, different problems. Those were a few of them. On the making side, the quality, we never had real problems. We were able to deliver always a good product, and sometimes with small mistakes. We had once a button that came loose very quickly, so that was of course a setback, but that was years ago. We tried to, for instance, when we use ozone washing without using water but with ozone to get the bleaching done, the first tryouts were not so beautiful, so went wrong. You know, those kind of things. The most difficult part is finding a customer and be able to reach out to a bigger audience online, but also offline, to start wearing our jeans. That's actually the most difficult one. So those are a few of our problems or challenges.
Yeah, I think that summarizes quite well.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Good. Dietrich, can you hear us?
I think Dietrich is still connecting to the audio.
Yeah. Let's go to Bas then. Bas.
Thanks, guys. Of course, my question is also tied to the repair question that Cas had. I think you just mentioned that other brands are offering repair services. Well, recently started offering them. What do you think is the main reason that not all sort of the mainstream brands are offering repair services?
It's funny actually. Lea did another research, but she can tell you later. It's very costly. If you take a pair of jeans from us, which is 119 retail, and you want to repair it after a year and you send it back to me, we propose also that we pay the shipping. So back and forth, that's already 12 or 13 euros.
Yeah.
Then the handling and then the real work on it. A repair costs us easily 20 to 25 euros. And that's tough.
But it's still like for you, I understand, because you're leasing, so it's sort of a different payment. Yeah, well, it's a different strategy. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. But for sort of the normal brand, replacing the item would be way more expensive, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, the real sharks in our business, when they do denim,
yeah,
they buy it for $7-8 in Bangladesh, a pair of jeans. So
yeah, okay, that explains. Yeah,
we don't. We pay around 20 to 25 euros in Tunisia when everything gets together, and then it's not yet in our warehouse. But yeah, that's why I think.
Okay, pricing. Okay, thanks.
Let's go to Verena Mühlberger from Austria.
Talking about costs, what are the main factors that are responsible for the higher costs of your product?
Sorry, we had the noise again upstairs. Sorry, say again.
What are the main factors that are responsible for the higher costs of your products?
Okay. First of all, the making. So we try to do everything properly in the making, which means that we try to pay the people a decent salary. We don't want to go that far away. So the recycling and the sending back of the old jeans is done in Valencia, like you know, I think. And then the roll of material goes to Tunisia. In Tunisia, salaries are better than in China, let's say, or from Bangladesh. All kind of things we do, like we use the non-toxic indigo, we do the washing with ozone, we do the wear outlook with laser.
I think
Yeah,
also
I
using
think-
organic cotton is way
Exactly.
more expensive than using conventional cotton.
And then there's also the volume question. Of course, the jeans business is a volume-driven business. So once you put the machine on, let's say on the fabric side, they want to run 100,000 meters. You know, that's efficient. We did that when we have the big orders from IKEA, for instance, and we have ourselves. But sometimes we have 5,000 meters or 10,000 meters, and then the price goes up also. So we also need the volume. Yeah, what else makes it more expensive? Everything is more expensive when you try to reach out to customers and your brand name is not that known yet, so you have to make more marketing, I think. People have to start wearing our jeans so that you tell your neighbor about us. Word of mouth is important. We have to invest in social media campaigns, you know, things like that. But that all brands have to.
And we offset all of our emissions. We donate for every pair of recycled jeans to regenerate a tree. I mean, those are not the biggest costs, but it's just small things that keep adding up if you want to be a responsible business. It is in some extents just more expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to Isabella, our student from, where do you study again?
In Belgium, in Antwerp.
Antwerp.
Yeah. So my next question is, because the main focus of circular economy is mainly on reducing environmental impact, I was wondering if you believe that the model can also lead to large social transformation and benefits the whole world and improve situation for all workers, or if it's not possible to achieve that.
Of course, it's possible, and it's also one of our key points. You cannot name yourself a circular business and also be a social enterprise and a B Corps, that we all are, and not taking care of the people that make your product. That doesn't work. I think you have to make sure that the total palette of what you're doing is correct. I could not imagine to name yourself a circular company and then buy your jeans somewhere in a dump in Bangladesh, and sort of it doesn't go together.
But I also think that the linear economy is so very harmful to society because of its environmental impact. I mean, we can see that certain communities are just disproportionately affected by the impact of climate change and also pollution, and you see people working on huge dumps of waste, and it's incredibly harmful to them and not just the environment. And I think that a circular approach, well, a circular economy can definitely in the long term also really positively affect society, because of all of these negative side effects of the linear economy really also have a negative impact on society.
Yeah, and also the proudness of the workers and us, our team. It's a nice feeling to work for a company, at least I feel, where you sort of have a mission-driven business that you know that you're one, of course, creating a company yourself that we want to grow. Maybe growth is a dirty word, but we need to do the volume. And on the other hand, also try to be an example company in the business to show that we are there already for 10 years. We exist now for 10 years. We show that it's possible to make a proper pair of jeans within a limited, not so far away, you know, things like that. So it's also the feeling. If you look at the workers in the factory in Valencia, they're happy, they're well insured. It's part of circularity, I think, that also has to be correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Zumi. From Leeds.
Yeah.
Put your microphone on. Yes, hello. Do you have another question?
Yes, I do. Beyond the barriers that you have experienced in your company, do you think that your business model can be replicated by similar businesses across the world, or you think certain unique circumstances might make it harder or easier for other companies?
We have an angry neighbor. No, I definitely think that it's the future. I even think that it's more than that. If you as a company do not have a plan or a mission into the correct direction, there's no future. So it's becoming a must. And all companies that within now and 5 years do not have a vision or a circular vision or a thought of trying to do, or at least are ready to change their way of doing business, which is difficult. Changing is difficult. It always hurts. But I think it's a must. There's no way that companies can keep on doing what they do today and getting away with it. There's going to be legislations. There's going to be customers that are going to ask more and more questions. More and more people are living a more conscious life. You can see it everywhere in the meat industry, the food industry, the transport. I think there's everywhere. I honestly believe there's a change. It doesn't go fast enough, but things are changing. Is that an answer to your question? Or?
In a way. So I was trying to figure out if your business model is something that other companies can adopt, yes, or can replicate to suit different business climates so that they could be more circular.
Yes, I think so. If you take, for instance, a washing machine, I'm using this example very often, but if you take a washing machine and you are a producer of a washing machine, instead of saying, I want to sell a washing machine and I hope it will break within 3 years so I can send another one to you, or sell you another one. Instead of saying that, if you say, I want to rent it out to you and you pay a monthly fee, and then you are suddenly responsible for all kind of other things. You have to try to make something that lasts very long, that doesn't use a lot of energy, where we have another one coming in, where you want to make the quality so that it keeps on working for a long time. And if you get it back, you want to be able to get back the raw materials out of it easily. So we all know that copper, for instance, is ending. The raw materials, the prices are rising quickly. So maybe in 10 years, you are very happy being the owner of thousands of washing machines that are somewhere, and then one day we'll get back to you and you can use the raw material. So I think that's the future. So yes, it should be replicated, I think.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the boys with their venture.
Thanks. I won't hassle you too much about the repairs, but I have a maybe more broader question.
You're going to start in the repairs? What is your plan?
That's a possibility, but it's still super vague, and these types of information, because we have no background in fashion, really helps to sort of box in a bit the possibilities, and also check some assumption that we might have that are totally wrong, because we're not from the industry. I was curious, in the sustainability report, there's a few directions you see for a more sustainable future: a circular design, recycle, upcycle, repair, production, and lease. Looking at the future, let's say 5 years time, where do you expect Mud Jeans to have made the most progress in becoming an even more sustainable brand than you already are?
We know. Lea is going to explain to you.
Well, if you're talking about the same thing, I think a really big thing for us is the Road to 100 project. I'm not sure if you followed that. You can also find all of the episodes on our YouTube channel. But basically, it was a project well, the aim was to create the first jeans made from 100% post-consumer recycled cotton or denim. And that is obviously a huge milestone, because you then no longer need to use any virgin resources, at least for the fabric itself. And especially with, Earth Overshoot Day was just, 3 days ago, and we still have 5 months left of the year, and it's just catastrophic how many resources we use, which we just don't have. And so creating a jeans from no virgin resources is for us the thing that could have the biggest impact. And yeah, that's been a really interesting journey. We've created the first sample. Yeah, spoiler alert, but you can see it all in the episodes. And now the goal is really to scale that up. So we hope that by this time next year, we can sell the first 100% recycled jeans. And the hope is that in the next 5 years, that is really on an even bigger scale. So I do think we want to gradually kind of replace the virgin resources in our collection with recycled ones.
What are the biggest issues in doing that, sort of moving from virgin to recycled materials?
Well, so at the moment, the recycled denim that we use is just mechanically recycled, and that is okay if you go up to 40%. But if you go higher than that, you can have a negative impact on the durability and things like that, because the fiber itself, through the shredding and all of these processes, it becomes shorter. So it's less strong in that sense. So if you were to do it just with mechanical recycling, the jeans wouldn't last very long. So we had to think new in this, and there hasn't been anyone who's done this before. So that was the first big challenge. So we worked together with Saxion University on trying to find the best way for that. And it turned out that a mix of chemical and mechanical recycling was kind of the solution to that. But also when it comes to chemical recycling, you have to pay attention. There's better and worse ways to do that. And we want to do it in the best way. And so we use a chemical NMO, I think.
Solvent.
Yeah, it's a solvent, but it's an organic solvent that you can reuse endlessly. And even if you were to just release it back into the water, it wouldn't be harmful. So that was a really big thing we wanted to prioritize. But yeah, kind of trying to find the best way of how much chemical, how much mechanical recycled denim do you put in there, with how much do you put in the warp, in the weft, things like that, really trying to figure out how to create a jeans out of this that isn't just very sustainable, but also just a good product that people would want to wear. So that's a big challenge.
Yeah, we did in a laboratory phase, and we want to scale it up to production, and that's going to be difficult. So we need some more time.
Cool. Okay, thank you very much.
Verena, how are you?
Good, thanks. I want to go back to the costs. Do you think the denim you're taking back can give you a cost advantage, or are the transaction costs too high?
Yeah, that's a good question. What's actually quite interesting last 2 years when we had some major incidents in the world. One of them was the shipping. The whole Suez Canal was closed, and I think the container prices went up 10 times. We were quite lucky because we only shipped from Tunis to Marseille. So no containers, just and no Suez Canal. So this was our big advantage. And the second one was that the cotton prices rose tremendously. And we are using GOTS, of course. That is already expensive because it's only 1% of the total cotton produced, GOTS certified. And so we were quite happy with our 40% post-consumer waste. But on the other hand, we also have to admit that it is more complicated. You have more outfall, so you have more machines that sometimes have to stop because a yarn will break, things like that. So altogether, it's still more expensive to use material with recycled content. And today, one of the greenwashing things that's happening is that all companies say now we use recycled content, and they mean to say that they use pre-consumer waste. So that's what's left over in the factory, or cutting waste, which is quite easy to recycle, which is done already for 100 years, which is normal to do. So that's like one of the greenwashing things that's for us difficult to counter, because the consumer is quite lazy and thinks there's recycled content, so that's good, I'm saved. So those are one of the things, but that wasn't your question.
Yeah, so it was more in terms of cost, but I think you explained that. So there are some financial advantages just to it, but I think it's still more expensive, and also with VAT.
Yeah.
So we kind of think that you shouldn't be paying VAT on something again that you've already paid VAT on before, right?
Yeah.
So I think a really big change that could or should happen is that you don't pay VAT on the amount that you're reusing. I mean, this is just discouraging people from recycling.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Bas, more questions? Or shall we?
Yeah, super interesting comment on the VAT, by the way. Never, never thought on that. Maybe, yeah. Question is, do you feel like you design or you can design the jeans that you're offering now radically different because you're sort of leasing them and understanding better what the failures in those jeans are?
Yes.
Compared to a normal sort of linear model.
Yeah, one of the big advantages is that you get all your old jeans back and you sort of see what's happening after a year. And then we see the differences from the cities they come back. If you live in Amsterdam and you send us back after a year or 2 years, or I don't know what, your jeans, we always see that they are broken in the crotch.
Yeah.
Because of the cycling.
Yeah.
So we've been thinking about this and see how we could improve this. Now, one of the examples could be that we are going to use more hemp in it. Hemp is a very strong facial, actually, fiber. So that's, and we also are trying to make a special biker's version with a double layer of material or something like that. So that was, for instance, one of the things that was really thought of after seeing all these jeans coming back. Because mostly what we do, the second-hand market of jeans is very interesting, and we have a lot of jeans coming back that are really good still, that we wash and repair and sell as vintage, which I think is one of the best ways of recycling, of course. So there we learn also a lot. Buttons fall off or buttonholes break or things like that. We've been thinking of improving that. Yeah, it's interesting to see your old jeans coming back and learn from that. And of course, we design in the beginning already for circularity. So we try to use as less as possible extra materials like leather labels, those kind of things we don't do. We are thinking now, we are in the process of trying to find a good stitching yarn that is also made on a cellulose based, which is hard to find because that has to be very strong. So we still use, what is it, polyester based?
Yeah, the core.
The core. So, you know, you can always improve, but yeah, it's interesting to see when jeans are coming back in.
Doesn't the polyester induce all sorts of problem in the mechanical recycling that you just mentioned? I can imagine it's pretty tricky.
It does, but up till a certain amount we can still reuse. So the elaston we don't want to use more than 2% actually, but we accept until 5%. Our recycler is okay with that, but it makes it less mono.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no mono material anymore. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks.
Let's go to Isabelle. Nice, from Antwerp.
Yeah, thank you. So my next question is also a bit linked to the question of Tumi, concerning the replicability of the business model in other places. And so I was wondering if you would consider moving to countries such as Bangladesh, where the fast fashion industry is currently the largest part of production, or would you not do that yourself? Or why not? Or why would you create a circular business there?
Yeah, we want to try to not ship back and forth all jeans over the whole world and over the oceans. So we try to keep our circles close. We do think that, for instance, it's a good idea to start a similar circle in USA. Bangladesh is difficult because it's not a seller's market. You know, you have to try to do it in countries where we would be happy to start in Berlin, for instance, a similar company like ours with our blueprint. That's what we are doing today with the Americans. We want to help them set up a company like ours with the lessons we've learned from the last 10 years, but all try to keep it local, you know, local, say, I don't want to ship all jeans back and forth from the United States into Europe or to Tunisia. So that's our intention, if that helps you. Right.
Yeah.
Sumi, do you have another question?
Yeah, no, I was wondering then how the fast fashion industry would begin to treat the workers in Bangladesh better if there's no circularity.
Yeah. The real answer is I think they don't want to do that. They are here to make as much as possible money as they can. If that's the goal of your company, then it's going to be hard. So I'm not very positive on that. I mean, they invented a system to make sure that you buy more and more and more and more. Yeah, you have to ask them, Isabel. Call Zara or H&M, or you get a beautiful answer, I think. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
but
anyhow,
not what
here,
I think.
Lea has done a research. Tell us about your research last year, December. I like that.
Yeah, so this was around Black Friday.
Yeah.
But we like to say Blue Friday, so we want to do something different on that day because we really don't like the idea that on that day just endless consumption is being pushed and you get encouraged into buying something for a discount that you don't even need. So we always shut down our online store on that day and say, okay, nobody buys any new munchies on this day from our online store. And instead we do a live stream and people can buy vintage jeans from us. So the jeans that we get back for recycling, we always check them. And if they're still good enough to be worn, we put them in our vintage collection. Obviously they get cleaned and everything, but yeah, it's better to reuse if possible. But around that day, we also wanted to see, okay, what do other brands do? Can you give your old jeans back if they're broken? Can they actually recycle them? What will they say if we ask them what to do with our old H&M or whatever jeans? So I sent a couple of emails to them kind of explaining that I've had a jeans from them for a while and that it's broken and what can I do? Can you take it back? And basically everybody just said, no, not a problem. No, we don't do this. No, 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 no. And that just goes to show that there's still so much more to be done there. And brands really just see it in a linear way. We make the product, we give it away, and then it's not a problem where it ends up or whether it can be reused or not. So yeah, there's still a lot to be done there.
Yeah. Anybody? The last burning question?
Tumi, do you still have one?
Tumi has one. Tumi.
So going by what you said about consumers, so what influence does ethical buying have on your business model? For instance, now there are reports on people trying to lean towards ethical buying, but we can see that the entire industry is shaped by trends. So how do you think the trends and ethical buying could somehow affect or influence the circular economy adoption amongst SMEs?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I'm working for this now for 10 years. And I don't see the spectacular growth. I see changes in the world. It doesn't go fast enough. Yeah, like I said, I really hope for legislation. We need help from the government. You know, you need all parties to want to go forward. So you need consumers and you need companies and governments to really start to do that. I think the electric car is, of course, a good example where the Dutch government very much pushed electric cars with advantages on taxes and things like that. And then suddenly this started to move. So I think we need similar actions for our industry and to really say, guys, we have to change our ways. I hope that will happen.
That's the hope, yeah.
Is that what you mean to me by possibilities?
Yes, so I was just trying to highlight that basically the industry and like the environment now is very based on trends. So people go into the store and want to buy buy the latest shoe or buy the latest pair of jeans that are in vogue right now. So how do you think consumers saying that they're ethical in purchasing and not really ethical in purchasing will affect the circular economy amongst SMEs and like different industries, especially in fashion?
Yeah, in fashion it's difficult because we are in a business. It's like the dirty jeans industry, who have unlimited amounts of marketing to shout about their latest model and it's the best ever. So that's complicated. We also do not want to make every 2 months or every season a new collection. We don't want to join that craziness of all the time something new. We have beautiful essentials. We have jeans that we think that are really well. And of course, we have to follow what's happening in the fashion. The jeans get a little bit wider now. We have to be there, of course, and the skinnies are going away a little bit. But we cannot afford ourselves to follow the trend of making new collections all the time. And again, this is an example of, if you look at Kate Raworth with the donut economy, we have to realize that growth, it's not going to be able to keep on dreaming of growth. We are at the limits of growth altogether, and we have to start realizing that's all. It's a question of waking up, I think.
Yeah.
But that's not what you wanted to hear. You want to have a clearer answer, no?
Yes, it is. So I was just trying to say, yeah, it does answer my question. So now I know that there is the need to lean towards more of slow fashion than trying to adopt with trends. So it does answer my question.
And I think the trend of circularity and slow fashion is not a trend. It's something here to stay. It's only going to be bigger. So it's not like a fashion trend for me. You know, although everybody's talking about it now, I don't feel that in 6 months it's suddenly going away. But there are things that's not helping us. For instance, the war. This doesn't help us. The whole COVID situation was actually good for us, which sounds crazy, but more people came to our website. They had more time to think about their decision of what kind of product to buy. And I also think since they didn't spend money on traveling and on going out for dinner and things like that, we had actually a very good year because of this. So there are external trends that are pushing circularity also forward, I would say. But that's more, you cannot count on that. It's what's happening. Maybe let's go to Verena and ask her. Do you all agree to have a last question? Do you have something really important to ask, or are you okay?
I do have a last question.
Good.
I want to talk about transparency. I read in your sustainability report that you are planning on introducing a QR code. How is this going?
Yeah, it's going. It didn't go as fast as we were hoping it would, but it's definitely going. We are very close to launching that, actually. Basically, yeah, I'm not sure if we can say English, but I'm not sure. But anyways, we're launching that. So the idea is that we have a QR code on the hang tags on the products. And then it's easy for customers to scan that and see exactly, okay, where was every step of the supply chain for my product and what's the impact, the environmental impact of my product. So yeah, you can look at all of those things. And the main work behind that was to get all of the supply chain partners on board. So they have to sign up for that. They have to verify every step of the supply chain, things like that. But they can also upload all of their certificates there. They have to, yeah, it's a process of getting all of them on board and of uploading every product and all of the impact and so on, but we're close.
Okay, nice. Do you use that only for customers or also for employees and other stakeholders?
In what sense?
for internal processes, for example, so that you have those information in your company as well?
Yeah, so I've heard a lot that people or that these transparency pages, they also advertise with the fact that it's good for your internal organization because you get an overview of your supply chain and things like that. But for us, that part is not that big of an advantage because we already know everything about our supply chain. We know every step that it goes through. We know all of our supply chain partners. So we have a good overview of it. Obviously, it's still nice to have, but for us, it wasn't necessary on that internal level. It was really just for being even more transparent to the customer.
Yeah, that also has to do with the size of our company. We're not Levi's working with 1,000 different suppliers. We have one jean supplier, one material supplier, one. And of course, if we grow, then we have to start maybe to diversify. But for the moment, it's such a simple setup and very easy to overview. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do you all agree to call it a day? And hopefully I've been able to, or we have been able to fulfill your questions. Yeah, please like everything we do on Insta. Become an ambassador, wear our jeans. Maybe I'll give you the last push